And we have Michael Maloff coming on our show this week. We didn't mention his name. A Nation Forsaken. He's going to be here. And A Nation Forsaken. This is an expert. This man is one of the top experts in electrical magnetic bomb. He's been in the government for his whole life. But this man is trying to warn our nation that our electric grid could go down any minute. And what's crazy is the headlines, like EMP attack, 90% of America would be dead. That's a headline.
Yes.
You got another headline, threat to grid, detail emerge of sniper attack on the power station. And we've been talking about that one out in California.
That's right.
But the grid could go down, and that means no power in our country. That means no more movement of anything, because without electricity, nothing moves in this country.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
They're talking about if just 9 substations were brought down, we would have a total, the whole grid would just cascade, and just one after another would go down.
That's right. There's actually an article from the news source Fox News. It says small-scale power grid attack could cause nationwide blackout. Study says the U.S. could suffer a national blackout if attackers knocked out just 9 of the country's electric transmission substations on a hot summer day. Just a few weeks ago, it happened in California.
Really?
Yes. In 19 minutes, you had these individuals come, and these were professionals. This is a true sign of domestic terrorism. In 19 minutes, they destroyed over 17 transformers.
And they went under the tunnels, under it. They cut out the wires to the cameras.
Actually says here in the article from Fox News, it says Wellinghoff, a now retired George W. Bush appointee, called it the most significant incident of domestic terrorism involving the U.S. power grid that has ever occurred. This just happened a few weeks ago. And then a couple weeks afterwards, like we just said, another study was published by Fox News that if only 9 were strategically hit by terrorists, it would knock out the entire grid throughout the continental United States.
I have 3 headlines, and it starts with 2011. North Korea tests super EMP, not just a regular EMP bomb, but a super bomb.
That's right. And just so the audience understands, you see, it's not actually a bomb called an EMP. It's a nuclear warhead that's detonated 100, 200, 300 miles above the earth, and it gives off an EMP. So North Korea, it was an article that was published in 2011. They developed a super EMP, which means it's a nuclear warhead specifically designed to give off more gamma rays than the regular nuclear warheads, so it is a bomb for an EMP. It was designed to give off an electromagnetic pulse that would wipe out a country.
And not only that, the solar storms have been in 2012, 2013 and 2014 have been the largest solar storms, and if the earth had just moved a few hours.
Yes.
How many hours would you remember?
It was one of the reports from 2013. We have a certain orbit that we take around the sun. If we would have been 2 weeks ahead, it would have completely defaced the earth with an EMP from a solar flare.
And it would have done what this bomb can do. This book I've been reading for the last 2 weeks. It's the most powerful book of this kind. It is a novel, I would say.
It's a fiction.
Written from truth.
That's right.
If you read this book...
But it does have a lot of strong language in the book, so if you do get it, make sure you just know that ahead of time.
Don't even order it if you get offended easy. Because, but it's real life. I've been preaching and preaching and preaching for years that what will happen, all these events are going to happen at once. There's going to be massive events that's going to happen, and the government won't be able to help you, but you can help each other. The church, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, and the more so. The important thing is pick the group you want to hang out with when the world's coming apart. But you know, they're talking about complaining that they've advertised the fact that we have a problem. They all know we have a problem.
Yeah.
Our government knows it. It's all on the websites. And our enemies know more about it than we do.
Yeah. I heard recently, I can't remember where it was from, but an individual said, you know, I bet you that there's probably about 1 out of every 100 Americans understand the threat to our grid and the threat of an EMP bomb, or even an EMP bomb is in America. He goes, but I guarantee you 100 out of 100 of our enemies know what it is.
And what happens after electrical magnetic pulse bomb explodes? I just started making a list from this book. 1, cars stop running. 2, airplanes fall out of the sky. 3, trains, ships, and buses are no longer running. 4, no ambulances, fire trucks, police, or any emergency vehicles. They will not run. In other words, who's going to keep the peace? The electric grid is down. This is what happens 1 second after. No electric lights, no electric cooking, or refrigerator, or freezer working. People actually hate it, but they have to eat up the food out of the freezer and refrigerator because it won't last very many days. So they're having feasts, literally, of frozen food and meats and everything they can. And then in a few weeks, there's no more food to eat. I want to share with you what happens days and weeks after, as time goes on. In 4 days, all the people can think about is themselves.
Sure.
And if in this one movie that was on, I think, the History Channel, if you see that, you'll see with these gangs, they take every food supply place, every factory, every place, and they take it over. And that supply that's in there then becomes their money.
Yeah, and that's their property. If you try to go over there, you will get shot or you'll just get turned away if you want to keep your life.
One very wise man told me, he said, get stuff to barter.
Yes.
Small towns will have to set up an Old West kind of rule just to keep the peace. Horses, mules, and donkeys are in great demand and short supply.
Oh, yeah.
Overweight people dropping dead, walking. Many died from walking just from their stranded cars on the freeway to find food and shelter. Think, your car stopped, everything. Where do you go? Where do all those people go to spend the night in a hotel? Where did they go to get food? The restaurant's going to be out of food. Everybody's going to take it. The restaurant owner's probably taking the food home by now. Ice runs out, food is spoiling, and people getting sick from bad food and unable to bathe and even wash their hands.
Oh, that'll make me crazy, right?
All
there.
meds are gone. A minor cut can be deadly. Those who are leaders meet to try to save the town. Decisions like, should food be taken from those who have some left? In other words, those who stored up, should that food be taken from them and distributed? Good communism, socialism. And how would they distribute food that they are able to obtain? That's going to be the job. A new town hall, new town leaders.
Yeah.
Toilets fill up and do not flush, so holes are dug and screened off for toilets. I'm telling you what I've gleaned from what will happen if a crisis like this takes place. People are dying daily, so massive holes are dug to bury the dead in mass graves. The biggest problem, if 250 million people die, the biggest problem is the living to bury the dead. Food was gone faster than expected, and by the time some arrived to stock up at food stores, all the food was gone. The store looked like a food riot had taken place, and even blood was on the floor from people willing to kill each other for the last bits of food.
Yeah.
People still did not know what caused the power to go out, as there was no news, no information. Only a few people suggested EMP or even knew what EMP meant. And then I put in parentheses, except those who watched the Jim Bakker show.
That's true.
People were mourning over not storing food. I'm reading from the books. I'm quoting from the book. Some were still cooking on the outdoor propane grills as neighbors looked on in envy. Someone found an old percolator coffee pot and was making a hot cup of coffee on their outdoor grill. The local nursing home became a mess. No air conditioning, no water. Most staff did not show up for work. The stench was so bad, John could not stand the smell. Is it the character in the book? Many patients were dead in their beds or on the floor. Flies were everywhere. Alzheimer's patients were wandering around, some outside in the streets.
Oh, that makes
Many
me
patients
sad.
were screaming out in pain as all the pain meds were stolen by the young punks.
Oh,
Wow.
oh my goodness.
Number 19. When the EMP went off, 3,000 airplanes fell out of the sky
Wow.
and now over the land. In neighborhoods, all those planes with hundreds of thousands of dead and mangled bodies lay. Martial law is declared. That you don't understand. Somebody else basically takes over rule.
Sure.
What did Rick Joyner say? Martial law depends on who the marshal is.
That's right.
And he's coming back, by the way.
Yay.
And he's predicting there will be martial law in the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to him when he gets here because I believe I know why and I know how it's going to happen. Towns are burning and no water to put out fires.
Oh,
No fire trucks are running. Millions will be walking to the hills
Yeah.
to find food, whatever. Why wouldn't you be smart to tuck away some food in your own home? Well, I'm going to finish this up and we'll say goodbye. But people who would have died years before, who are being kept alive by their doctors, medicines, and medical equipment, are all dying at once. We had a plan for everything, even global warming. But we didn't have a plan for this one.
wow.
Towns have closed off their cities, so many people pouring in to find food. If they do not limit anyone from coming in all the towns, listen to this, people will die. They're killing each other to get into town or towns where they think there is food. God help us. I wish we'd all been ready.
Boy,